Hi, I'm Mrs. Cook, and today I will be reading How I Met My Monster written by Amanda Noll and illustrated by Howard McWilliams. How I Met My Monster. One night, when I reached under my bed for my truck, I found this note instead. Monsters meet here for final test. Z. Ha! My parents obviously trying to trick me into staying in bed. I didn't believe in monsters. So I crumpled up the paper, grabbed my truck, zipped over to my garage. I heard some creaking and rumbling, but I wasn't scared. Our house always made noises at night. But then a voice under my bed scolded, "Stop that stomach rumbling. The child will hear you." Voices, stomach rumbling? If this was part of my parents' trick, it was pretty cool. I peered into the icky blackness. 5 pair of eyes blinked back. "See? Now he knows we're here," a voice sighed. "One of you have broken the monster rule number 1. Maintain the element of surprise." This is no trick, I thought. There are monsters under my bed. A large-necked yellow monster slid out, followed by 4 little monsters. "Rule number 2, the yellow one instructed. Never block the bed. All of you, scoot over." Hey, I realized that one must be the teacher. I sat up straight, memorized by the monsters' parade shuffling across my bedroom. "That's better," the teacher monster said. "Access to the bed is clear. Now who knows rule number 3? The purple monster teetered on his tiptoes and gurgled, "Get the child into bed." "That's correct, Janice. And how would you do that?" "Well, Mr. Z, I would whir my scariest roar." "All right, give it a go." Dennis took a deep breath, opened his mouth, and let out a tiny burp. Stomach rumbling would have made better chance of getting me into bed than that funny little noise, I laughed. "The child is right," said Mr. Z, shaking his head. "That was not significantly scary." Genesis, "I'm sorry, you're not the best monster for the child." And there was a creaking as Genesis looked back under the bed. Before I could investigate where Genesis had gone, Mr. Z asked, "Now, who wants to try to get this child in the bed?" The orange monster looked at the ceiling, and the red monster looked at the floor. Only the green one looked at me. First, he stared at my toes and started drooling. He took a step toward me, and I heard the rumbling noise again. I sprang into bed so he couldn't get my feet. Mr. Z blinked. "Very unconventional, Gabe. Your stomach gurgles seem to be what this child needs." What I needed was to make sure this little Gabe monster didn't eat my toes. "Right, you 3. Now the child is in bed," said Mr. Z. "And as every monster knows, the eliminated objective, rule number 4, who can tell me what that is?" The orange monster bounced and squeaked. "Keep the child in bed until it falls asleep." "Correct, Morgan. How would you accomplish that?" Shadow puppets, she squeaked again. Gabe whistled through his nose, and I snickered. But Mr. Z said, "Interesting idea. Try it." Morgan hopped onto the bed table and flailed her arms near my lamp. Silly shadows blobbed on the wall, and a cloud of fluffy fur tickled my nose. "Achoo!" Morgan stopped at once. Mr. Z ordered, "You're not supposed to scare him, not make him sneeze." "I'm sorry, but you're not a match either." Morgan's arms flopped to her side. She shuddered under my bed. There was some more creaking, and Morgan was gone. After all that sneezing, I really needed a tissue. Suddenly, a huge shadow of uncut claws zoomed across my room. Awesome, I thought, and kind of scary. I froze in place. Powerful performance, Gabe, said Mr. Z, but do either of you see the problem? Oh, I know, chirped the red monster. The child is out of bed again. Correct, Abigail. Mr. Z continued, and one of you must get him back in. Let's revisit rule number 1. Maintain the element of surprise. All at once, puff, the monsters vanished. Then I heard more rumbling. Were they hiding in my closet, making noises to scare me? Ha! No, it was only my stomach grumbling. All this excitement made me hungry. I tiptoed past the closet and peeked out the door. So far, so good. No monsters. Then I stepped over the squeaky stair and sneaked down to the kitchen. As I reached into the pantry, I heard some clattering behind me. I sure hoped it wasn't that toe-loving Gabe. I yanked open the fridge. Ha! It wasn't Gabe. It was just the red monster shivering on the shelf. Found you, I laughed. Nice try, Abigail, said Mr. Z, but it's not working. You're not the right monster for this child. But, Mr. Z, she whined, it's not my fault. He's not scared of me. I'm sorry, Abigail. Let's go. Abigail clumped behind Mr. Z. When I heard the creaking, I knew she was gone. I grabbed some crackers and headed upstairs, wondering if Gabe was gone too. I munched all the way down the hall and then went into the bathroom to brush my teeth again. When I opened the door a minute later, Gabe was definitely not gone. He was right there, and he was huge. I charged in my room and slammed the door. When I leaped into bed, I knew my toes were safe. Whew! I was surprised to hear breathing under my bed. Ragged breathing. My stomach rumbled. Hey, kid, Gabe growled. Good to see you. I pulled the covers up tight. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to start this evening with anonymous puddles of drool. I peeked over the edge of the bed. Green ooze spread soundlessly from underneath. Then the bed quivered, and Gabe unfurled his spiked tail. Well, this looks quite promising, Mr. Z noted. When I heard some more creaking, I knew Mr. Z was gone, and I was alone with Gabe. Gabe loomed over my bed and began sharpening his unclawed claws on my bedpost. How'd you get so big? I gasped. Oh, number 5, my friend, he explained. People food makes monsters grow. And thanks for the crackers. Got any toes I can munch? I scrunched my feet so Gabe couldn't get them. This way better than playing with trucks. No toes tonight, but you can have this. I offered him, tossing a stuffed monster off the bed. Gabe dove for it. His soft, comforting snorts filled the room as he snuffled the toy. I shivered. Kid, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. No other monsters can scare me like you, I giggled. Gabe was the monster for me. His snorts and ooze were perfect. I yawned and shivered again, and I was asleep in no time. This was How I Met a Monster. If you have perfect attendance this week, you'll be in the drawing to get this book.